Saint Augustine commentary on Psalm 100 following. I will, therefore, says he, live separate with a few good men. Why should I live in common with crowds? Well, those very few good men, from what crowds have they been strained out? If, however, these few are all good, it is, nevertheless, a good and praiseworthy design in man to be with such as have chosen a quiet life, distant from the bustle of the people, from noisy crowds, from the great waves of life. They are as if in harbor. Is there, therefore, here that joy, that jubilant gladness which is promised? Not as yet, but still groans, still the anxiety of temptations. For even the harbor has an entrance somewhere or others. If it had not, no ship could enter it. It must therefore be open on some side. But at times on this open side the wind rushes in, and where there are no rocks, ships dash together, shatter one another. Where then is security, if not even in harbor? And yet it must be confessed, it is true that persons in harbor are in their degree much better off than when afloat on the main. Let them love one another as ships in harbor. Let them be bound together happily. Let them not dash against one another. Let absolute equality be preserved there, constancy in love. And when perchance the wind rushes in from the open side, let there be careful piloting there. Now, what will one who perchance presides over such places, nay, who serves his brethren, in what are called monasteries, tell me? I will be cautious. I will admit no wicked man. How will you admit no evil one? Those who are about to enter do not know themselves. How much less do you know them? For many have promised themselves that they were about to fulfill that holy life which has all things in common, where no man calls anything his own, who have one soul and one heart in God. Acts chapter 4, verse 32. They have been put into the furnace and have cracked. How then know you him who is unknown even to himself? Where then is security? Here nowhere. In this life nowhere, except solely in the hope of the promise of God. But there, when we shall reach thereunto is complete security, when the gates are shut and the bars of the gates of Jerusalem made fast. Psalm 147, verse 13. There is truly full jubilance and great delight. Only do not you feel secure in praising any sort of life. Judge no man blessed before his death. Ecclesiasticus chapter 11, verse 28. By this means men are deceived, so that they either do not undertake or rashly attempt a better life, because when they choose to praise, they praise without mention of the evil that is mixed with the good, and those who choose to blame do so with a so envious and perverse a mind as to shut their eyes to the good and exaggerate only the evils which either actually exist there or are imagined. That thus it happens that when any profession has been ill, that is, incautiously praised, if it has invited men by its own reputation, they who betake themselves thither discover some such as they did not believe to be there. And offended by the wicked recoil from the good. Brethren, apply this teaching to your life, and hear in such a manner that you may live. The Church of God, to speak generally, is magnified. Christians and Christians alone are called great. The Catholic Church is magnified. All love each other. Each and all do all they can for one another. They give themselves up to prayers, fastings, hymns, throughout the whole world. With peaceful unanimity, God is praised. Someone perhaps hears this who is ignorant that nothing is said of the wicked who are mingled with them. He comes, invited by these praises, finds bad men mixed with them who were not mentioned to him before he came. He is offended by false Christians. He flies from true Christians. Again, men who hate and slander them precipitately blame them, asking, what sort of men are Christians? Who are Christians? Covetous men, usurers. Are not the very persons who fill the churches on holidays the same who during the games and other spectacles fill the theatres and amphitheatres? They are drunken, gluttonous, envious, slanderers of each other. They are such, but not such only. And this slanderer in his blindness says nothing of the good, and that praiser in his want of caution is silent about the bad. Thus also in that common life of brethren which exists in a monastery, great and holy men live therein, with daily hymns, prayers, praises of God. Their occupation is reading, their labor with their own hands, and by this means support themselves. They seek nothing covetously. Whatever is brought in for them by pious brethren, they use with contentedness and charity. No one claims as his own what another has not. All love, all forbear one another mutually. You have praised them, you have praised. He who knows not what is going on within, who knows not how, when the wind enters, ships even in harbor dash against one another, enters as if in hope of security, expecting to find no man to forbear. He finds there evil brethren who could not have been found evil if they had not been admitted, and they must be at first tolerated lest they should perchance reform, nor can they easily be excluded unless they have first been endured, and becomes himself impatient beyond endurance. Who asked me here? I thought that love was here, and irritated by the perversity of some few men, since he has not persevered in fulfilling his vow, he becomes a deserter of so holy a design, and guilty of a vow he has never discharged. And then, when he has gone forth himself too, he also becomes a reproacher and a slanderer, and records those things only, sometimes real, which he asserts that he could not have endured. But the real troubles of the wicked ought to be endured for the society of the good. The scripture says unto him, Woe unto those that have lost patience. Ecclesiastes chapter 2 verse 16. And what is more, he belches abroad the evil savour of his indignation as a means to deter them who are about to enter, because when he had entered himself, he could not persevere. Of what sort are they? Envious, quarrelsome, men who forbear no man, covetous, saying, He did this there, and he did that there. Wicked one, you are silent about the good? You say enough of those whom you could not endure. You say nothing of those who endure your wickedness.